Adipodiki GP. My tweets seem to have to go to New Zealand and then come back again in order to appear on that screen. They seem to disappear. But Richie Roberts, who's the president of Wonka, talks about his patients having his mobile phone number, all of his patients having his email address, so that he can maintain that personal relationship with them wherever he is in the world. He talks about a colleague who does this at home for her patients, and how that results in a decrease in the ambulatory hospital admissions, or in hospital admissions for her patients, because she's there for them in a real-time basis, in a real way, which I'm not hearing, and I certainly don't expect that TweetDeck are going to achieve that level of personal interaction and personal support for our patients. I would challenge you all, Queen of Tweets, hashtag WAG, I'm thinking about doing this myself. Providing all of your patients with your mobile number and all of your patients with your email address, so that you enhance the personal consultation, the personal communication, the personal relationship that you have with them using these media in a real way.
I do already. I give my patients.
All of them?
Not all. I basically work in 3 areas at the moment. One is I look after sick doctors, so I have about 900 addicted and mentally ill doctors. They all have my email address and they all have my phone number. Not all, but many of them. I also look after a population in Tower Hamlets, which 90% are Bengali. I don't give them my email or my phone unless exceptional circumstances for various reasons. One is the serious language issue. And I look after substance misusers, patients on methadone, and I've got about 50 to 100 of those, and they all have my phone number. And in fact, if you look to my phone, I have to sometimes give them anonymous names, because if the phone gets lost, I don't want them, And you'll see, Claire, I'm running out, can I come and see you? Claire, when I'm monitoring his weight. So, yeah, I think it's fantastic. They also tweet me, but the tweet is different because, as I said, I worry about the regulatory process.
What's your name, Doctor? Sorry.
Joe, Scott Jones.
Okay.
I think that that's a really interesting story, and something that perhaps be interesting to hear from the floor, how people feel about providing that personal relationship with their patients on a real-time, long-term, 24-hour, 365-day-a-year basis.
And it's
asking a lot of doctors, though, isn't it?
It's very rarely abused, and when it is abused, I take it seriously because I think then they're ill. And by abuse, I even mean sending texts in the middle of the night, sending texts at weekend. I think that is abuse, but I take it seriously because unless they're calling for help, because then I think what's going on, and it's incredibly rare. But in the old days, you used to give your patients your home phone number. Don't you remember? Older GPs, when you were doing palliative care, looking after elderly patients who you were worried about.
But then we were reporting Dr. Burnout.
No, we're reporting more Dr. Burnout
That was
now.
before the European guidelines came in to protect doctors from working around the clock. It's interesting, isn't it? Let's have a show of hands. How many people...
I'll just say that people don't abuse personal relationships.
No. And when they do, I think it's because they're ill. There's something not right.
How many people in the room think it would be a good idea to give their patients their email address or even their mobile telephone number for those occasions? Okay. How many people think it would be a very bad idea? And I'm going to give you the choice to say I'm not decided. So how many people think it would be a bad idea? More. How many people are not sure? Okay. Interesting.